Hi, welcome to Race House with me, Joe Lee.
And me, Darren Reeves.
It's 2026. We've known that for a while, but it's the new Formula One season. And wow, it's a brand new season, but it's a brand new Formula One. We've got new cars, we've got new teams, we've got drivers returning, we've got new drivers, we've got new rules. Darren, it's a completely new season this year.
It's a new season, but I still think we're going to see the best drivers at the front of the grid, Joe.
Well, yes. Well, we're going to see. I don't know. I mean, we've been watching preseason testing. These cars, it's the biggest change to the cars in 10 years. I'm going to rattle through maybe 10 of the top main changes. So basically, the cars are now smaller and lighter. The wheelbase has been reduced by 200 mil. The width has been reduced by 100 mil. So they're going to be more agile, more responsive. The minimum car weight has also been lowered by 30 kg. So, the weight reduction is a key engineering challenge for the teams now. I think there's two big ones now. The power unit. So it used to be 70-30 of combustion and electric. Now it's 50-50, roughly between internal combustion and electric power. And so the electrical output is increased from 120 kilowatt to 350 kilowatt. Come on to that in a second about what that means. But it's basically halfway to Formula E. And I think we're going to see a lot of issues, but maybe a lot of interesting dynamics about that. We've got the MGU-H, which is the power unit that has been removed, which generated heat. It took power from heat that was made and transferred. Now it's the MGU-K, so that is kinetic, so it gets the power. It harvests power instead of power from the heat. So I'm not an engineer, I don't know, but that's what I know. Fuel is a big thing. So now it's 100% advanced sustainable fuel because F1 has launched their sustainability goals. They're still going ahead with that, and hence probably the 50-50 on the power unit split. The floor is now simplified. We're not going to get those Red Bull Adrian Newey floors, like labyrinths. They're flatter, they're simpler, and larger rear diffusers. So hopefully you won't get the porpoising, which we've seen before. The tires are smaller, so you reduce drag and helps with the weight as well. Safety has been bolstered as well. They've had more stringent crash tests for the roll hoop, and there's a new two-stage impact structure for the nose cone to better protect against secondary collisions. And it's kind of what they want, because they want the cars to be closer together, to be racing together. But the biggest thing, I think, is about what is replacing DRS. So DRS has gone. And it's been replaced by, kind of two things: an active aero system. So the front and the rear wings can now dynamically adjust their angles, allowing drivers to switch between a high downforce Z mode for corners and a low drag X mode for straights. So literally the wing can just flatten out at the back, and then the front wing actually can change as well, which has never been done. I think it's phenomenal. The second part is, instead of having DRS, you've got a thing called overtake mode. So when a driver is within 1 second of a car, like DRS, in front at a detection point, they gain access to extra electrical energy to assist in maneuvering past the rival. So essentially, it's replacing that DRS with a boost button. But you've only got so much electrical power. So, if you push that boost button, it might run out before you get down to that corner. So a lot to take in. And I just read that. This is from Formula One, and looking at the preseason testing, a lot of stuff. I mean, what's it going to do? Is it going to make the cars more competitive, closer together? We're not going to have the days of Schumacher and Hamilton way out and Verstappen. Is it going to provide better racing, Darren?
Well, mate, you have summed up everything I've been studying for the last 72 hours in a nutshell, mate. That's the best summary I've seen and heard of these new regulations.
Like and
Mate, you've just
subscribe.
blown me away. But what I really liked was that I've not missed anything either. So you're right, Joe, that DRS has been a massive thing in Formula One for the last few years. But there's also an element of it's taken away pure racing. When you get that, when you can reduce the drag, you've got an advantage against the person in front of you. And it's always been a little bit of we've created passing. I think this new development of the front and rear rings, and if you haven't seen that front wing move yet, watch some of the videos from the Barcelona test. It's fantastic to see them coming down the main straight and then open the front and rear wing at the same time. It looks really cool. Okay. And using the new energy boost, Max Verstappen has described it as Formula E on steroids. So we see Formula E cars go through a zone where they can get boost to then attack and so on. With this, you've got to store the energy up. Now, this can be, I don't know if any of you have ever driven an electric car. I had one for a couple of years where you can actually regenerate energy by braking. So whenever you brake, it will add a little bit more to the battery, basically. So you can harvest in a road car. But then using this extra power to pass will be very interesting to see how that works and how it's different to Formula E, or if it's exactly the same. We're not really sure. And I think the drivers are going to take time to know how to use it and when to use it. So it's not just a case of you've got it every lap. You've got to build up enough, and you've got to decide when's the right time to attack, when's the right time to hold off. So it's very strategic again. And I think it could be a bit more pure.
Well, yeah, I think it's very much like Mario Kart. Like when you're driving and you collect the mushroom, the boost, and then when do you deploy it? Wait for that bit, or wait for when you're flying over into the track. It's basically turned into Mario Kart. I think there's going to be a lot of memes going to be happening over the internet. We'll see.
Well, Joe, since being out in Abu Dhabi for the last race of 2025, I've been driving in the UK like Mario Kart, just avoiding the potholes that have been created in the most wettest start to any year here in the UK, Joe. So Mario Kart has been a huge part of my life for the last couple of months. But joking apart, it is a computer game. We are watching a computer game in reality here, and where these regulations take us to the next set of regulations in 4 or 5 years' time, whatever it'll be, will be more and more like Mario Kart, collecting the points and knowing when to deploy them. Mate, it's just all very interesting.
It's so interesting.
It is totally. The other thing that really interests me is everybody has moaned now for a number of years that the cars have got too big, too heavy. Now, Joe, you and I have been there. I've been there for the last 3 or 4 years in Monaco, watching these cars in a procession. And I have witnessed the most boring race, which was Monaco 2024, where the top 10 on the grid finished in order with no passing. I think the only pass was Bottas for 16th. There was something like that. Even though I think you were there the previous year. No, it was the one you were at. Yes, it was, Joe. We were both there. You're right. Yes, exactly that. The most boring Grand Prix of all time.
Charles Leclerc won, so I was.
And we saw a Monegasque win, and that I totally agree with you in Monaco. But it's how you coat things. You can find a positive in everything. You can find a negative in everything. I want to see these cars in Monaco.
Can you ever take in Monaco?
It's about the space, isn't it? We could all argue that they could widen it around the marina and push the boats back a little bit further. There's things that can be done, but by reducing the size of the car has to create space on the track. It's got to be a good thing. Making them lighter, making them more nimble. All these things, all the variables, we're going to see it much better in places, I hope, like Monaco, than we will at pure race circuits like Silverstone and Spa and and maybe Suzuka, where it is all about just pure speed and cornering speed. I think that's where we'll see the DRS side of things. Not DRS, is it? But that side of things happen more.
Mm.
But yeah, just less grip, less area, surface area on the track with the 4 tyres, smaller tyres. Everything's a little bit different, and it's going to take the drivers time to adjust. We've seen the initial reactions now of these cars from the test in Barcelona and the test the shakedown in Barcelona and then the test in Bahrain. A lot of the drivers are not very complimentary so far about it, but time to adjust. And Stefano Domenicali said something. He said, everything we're talking about now, it's all about what we're talking about at the end of the season, not the start. And it's how it makes the spectacle. We're here to entertain. This is an entertainment industry. It's going to create more entertainment and hopefully have more drivers at the front. And it is possible we're going to see some new winners. I think more in the first third of the year where everything's a little bit unsure. But I do think we're going to see the likes of Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, hopefully Lewis Hamilton, but also George Russell, let alone the McLaren drivers that we saw the 2025 championship come, just brilliant season. Hopefully we'll see those McLarens in there as well. But the top drivers will be there at the end, that's for sure. And that's really where the focus is going to be. Where are we at in those last 4 or 5 races?
Well, with drivers, let's continue with that. I mean, McLaren, we've got Lando and Oscar who are continue after winning. Lando winning last year and the constructors. Mercedes, we've got George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, so no change there. Alpine, Pierre Gasly and Franco Colapinto, terrible season last year. They need to really improve this year. I'm going to save the talking point till last. Ferrari, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Lewis apparently has been doing well with his kind of reset. And I don't know if he's had coaching or something, but from what I've seen, he's kind of reset himself. He's ready to attack the season. I would love for him to get his 8th. He should have had it 2021 when I was there in Abu Dhabi,
and 2007.
Yes, exactly. And I think there is a court case as well, which could potentially bring him down to 6, but I don't think that will work. That will happen. Anyway, I digress. We've got Red Bull Racing. Max Verstappen is joined by Isaac Hadjar. It's going to be his new teammate. And Yuki Tsunoda does not have a seat this season. Which is, I think, unfair, but it did not work out. In the other Red Bull team, we have Liam Lawson, who's the number 1 driver, and we have a new driver, Arvid Lindblad, who came up through the formulas, has been championed by Helmut Marko. He's British, but half Swedish and half Indian. So lots of flags can support that. My friend's Swedish, so he'll be happy, a Swedish driver. But they came to England, so he's British. But yeah, good luck to him for his first season. We're going to count you as one of ours. Audi, brand new team. They've chosen Nico Hulkenberg is leading that one with Gabriel Bortoleto. It'd be interesting to see what Audi are doing. I think because of their technical competence as a car manufacturer, they're going to be really on their game, like a Mercedes team, basically. They've got huge resources, talent pools, everything. Be interesting to see how they adapt to it and get stuck in.
Joe, I have to say, it's all about Red Bull and what Hadjar can do in that Red Bull against Max Verstappen. We've witnessed season after season of Max Verstappen dominance in that team ever since the day Daniel Ricciardo jumped ship. And, his career was a right mess after that, if we're honest. Perez, now everybody sort of believes he's doing much, did a much better job than we gave him credit for at the time. And when he was at Racing Point as well, won the Bahrain Grand Prix back in 2020. I can't wait to see Perez in that Cadillac and see
revenge. Yeah.
what it does. And Bottas has always been a great wingman as well. Possibly the greatest wingmen of all time, Bottas
Yes.
and Perez, now fighting it out for that number one driver's spot for the first time. It'd be interesting. We're expecting Cadillac to be at the back of the grid. I don't think there's any surprise there. However, from what we've seen, they're in there. They're in the mix with everybody in the, and doing a great job.
Did a great job
with their own engines, their own chassis, their own everything. So compared to when Haas joined, that's very much Ferrari number 2 car. That's always been. This is a whole new setup, a new world for Cadillac. So Hadjar, for me, really interesting to see what happens against Verstappen. Cadillac with Perez and Bottas, really important to see what happens there. Now, going on to the rookie, you know what I'm like with rookies. That 2024
you love a
season.
rookie. You're the rookie man.
Come on, we need new blood every season. And Arvid Lindblad. So what I found interesting is it was only 3 or 4 seasons ago he was racing in karting in Super One, which was the championship Lucas did that I was at, which. 2024, that was the national championship we did. Fantastic series of karting, brilliant opportunities all over the UK. We were with that, and he came through that system, and it proves to any budding teenager or even younger than that wanting to get into motorsport and Formula One, it is possible. That's the route. That's the way to do it, but it does take money.
And he kind of grew up in Wentworth.
My other favorite place.
So he grew up there. I mean, they say Virginia Water, but I think it's Wentworth. Plenty of money down the road from me, next door. But so it's that cocktail. Yes, that's the route, but then you need the funding. You need to have those dedicated partners on board. Whether it's family money or institutional money to get behind you.
But it's about belief, and you cannot have belief without talent. All right. So those drivers have got to prove they've got the talent, make people believe, and then go out and make it a business opportunity, make it possible. Joe, before we came on air, you and I both discussed that it doesn't matter what great ideas you have or what talent you have, without the business model and the money behind you, nothing's possible in this century, really, without that. And motorsport. Oh, go on. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, but that's a great lead into Aston Martin, because you can have all the money in the world behind you and a sovereign wealth fund, but that car does not look good. They managed 4 laps and then the car blew up, it seemed. This is Adrian Newey taking over as team principal, the famed designer, how to build a race car. This guy is the top designer ever for Formula One cars, and yet this Aston Martin is in serious trouble. And you've got Fernando Alonso, who's 44, legend, don't get me wrong, but is one of the oldest, I think the oldest on the grid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, by far.
And Lance Stroll, who is not setting the world on fire, should we say? So what it could be an absolute dud for Aston Martin this year if this car does not perform.
Well, Lance Stroll was the butt of jokes on my son's 18th birthday, when I couldn't work out why my wife had made my son a cake with Lance Stroll's number on it. Right? She then made my other son, Lucas, a 16th birthday cake of Charles Leclerc's helmet. And it was fantastic, Joe. I should bring a photo up of it. But anyway, it's not about cakes. It's about Aston Martin. All the money in the world, all the dreams in the world. Lawrence Stroll has always had a dream to make his son world champion. Obviously, in the Williams, he came in, and I thought he did quite an all right job when he was a rookie in the Williams. Moved across to Racing Point. His dad buys the team because he realizes that's the only way that I'm going to keep my son in Formula One. And tries to build the dream team around his son with the most knowledgeable, consistent driver of all time, who should have more world championships than he does. But he was up against Adrian Newey's Red Bull with Vettel. many times, and and the great Michael Schumacher and the great Lewis Hamilton. That's who Alonso has been put against in his career. So I don't think Lawrence Stroll could have put a better team together with money, but the reality is, have they all had their time? Adrian Newey knew how to build a race-winning car for Williams in the 90s. He knew how to build a race-winning car for McLaren in the noughties. He knew how to build a race-winning car for Red Bull in the 2010 era, and for Max Verstappen coming into the post-COVID 20s era. But none of that is real anymore. That's just history. He's now older. We all slow down a bit, Joe. I'm finding this out. You know,
He's 67.
You know, he still writes with a pencil and paper. I've no problem with that. But is that enough against the current designers and the current world of computerization and AI? You know, what are these teams have the infinite resources, and Aston Martin no more, but have they put together a retirement home?
Do you need Adrian Newey? Can you not just use AI to build a race car, optimized to be the fastest car on the grid? That is the prompt. I mean, is that going to be the future of engineering? You know, you're going to put in the prompt, it will spit out the design, and then you run that through a 3D printer, and then done.
No matter what we think, Joe, I've got no doubt that when I was wandering around the McLaren MTC building in the Boulevard, looking at those amazing historic cars, and I've no doubt somebody was in an office out the back there doing exactly what you're saying, because these are the most intelligent minds in the world that of the like have created AI. And whatever you and I think, these guys are miles ahead. They're already thinking about what's going to be happening 10 years in advance, I'm sure, within the sport. And I fear for it, because what makes competition brilliant is the human element and the imperfections that we bring to entertainment. And I'm only comparing that, Joe, to watching a band compared to watching a DJ. You know, just playing somebody's studio recording. Live music creates jeopardy. Live racing, pure racing. These cars, you know.
Well, yeah.
Where are we going with it? You know, how much do the drivers actually? It is a man and machine sport, and it's just that thing of the human element is the bit that can go wrong. It's the drivers that crash. It's not the cars. You know,
well, that's why
the cars retire.
Yeah.
You know, the cars blow up, but it's the driver, you know, a burst tire can happen and a driver can lose control. But that's the reason we watch this sport. And the more sterile we make it, the less attractive it's going to be. And a lot of my friends say, why do you watch Formula One? It's just Sky Electrics. I said, it's not. It's politics. It's inter-team act. It's 10 races in one race. It's 10 teams with politics and everything going on, and it's the journey those drivers have gone on, the journey those teams have gone on, and the history that those teams have. And without that knowledge that we want to bring to people, Joe, and talk about what we've experienced, you know, and for me over the last near on 40 years of watching Formula One, that's what it's about. And you invest yourself and time into it. That's what makes this sport.
Well, yeah, and you're talking about, you know, the excitement of the racing and what the drivers want to get into. I mean, Stefano Domenicali is confirmed as well that the sport is going to look to increase the number of sprint races. They're going to move towards 12 per season.
Wow.
Yeah. And I know we've had a lot of chat about sprints, if we like them or not. It's a mini race, you know, and I think drivers want to race, you know, spending the whole weekend testing and qualifying, then racing. That was the old school way. It seems that a lot of people seem to like it. You kind of get an extra race for your buck, for your ticket, if you're there, you know, and that will beef up. Go on. I think it'll beef up the experience more. I think it's a good thing.
I've obviously witnessed what's gone on. We'll call this the Netflix generation of Formula One since 2018, and the brilliant documentary. And it comes out this week, Joe. We get
this
to see
week.
the 2020, 27th. I can't wait for it. I love it. I love just absorbing myself into it with the anticipation of the new season starting in Australia. But we live now in a generation of instant gratification, and people just want it there. They want the race straight away. I love, and I recommend anybody walking around the track, just watching the cars go around with no sense of competition. You're just watching the cars go by and experience it. You're not having to worry about what the times are and who's fastest or whatever. And then building up that 3-day build up, that gradual build up, watch them practice, stand somewhere different on the track. You know, best thing to do is buy a roaming ticket. It's the cheapest one you'll get, but stand at lots and lots of different corners. And then when it comes to qualifying, that's when you start to settle into the competition side of things and watch the qualifying, watch the race from the same place. Great view, vantage point. You find them, you know, or you go to a grandstand that you know is going to be great, but still wander around. I was at Spa last year with my boys as a punter watching it, and there's just no time to breathe, mate. It's sprint qualifying, sprint race, qualifying. It's all competition, and it's 2026 on steroids. You know, 2025. Sorry, that was. It's that thing, as Verstappen said, it's on steroids a bit. And for me, sometimes you need to smell the coffee and sit back and just enjoy watching one of those cars go round a corner or go down the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, I mean, we love Spa. Eau Rouge obviously is so iconic. But you know, there is some news about Spa. I don't know if you know. Spa now is going to rotate with Barcelona. Now, what's
literally? Yeah, we need a rotating track, Joe.
Rotating track. So what's going to happen? Because there's the Mad Ring, which is the Madrid, the new Formula One circuit in Madrid, because there is politics with the north of Spain and with Madrid and the rest of Spain. So Madrid is going to have a new track. I think that could be online next year or year after. Yep. I think it's next year.
September this year, mate.
Is it this year,
yep.
Madrid?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. I should look at the calendar, shouldn't I, really? So yeah, that's come into play. So it's moving from Barcelona now, because tracks have to pay for the pleasure of having the honor, whatever you want to call it, of having the F1 at their track. Then I think Spa have said, well, you know, we need to have a bit of a deal with this because it's costing a fortune. The weather's notoriously rubbish, even though it's in the summer. So they're going to rotate with Barcelona, which lost the race. Now, Barcelona, obviously, we've been there, Spanish Grand Prix in previous years. It's a great track, great feel. So they're going to do these deals. I think it's a great idea because there's so many Formula One tracks out there which are built, which have had Formula One, but they're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
You know, the French Grand Prix, you know, like, why can't that go on a rotational basis? Hockenheim. Yeah, what we could bring India. They've got an amazing track which didn't quite come to fruition. All these places, and many more, as you will know, but we could get them on rotation and bring them back. Portugal was coming back. I can't believe it. Portimao.
It's one of our favorite places, Joe.
Unbelievable. I think we should go actually to that race. Is it next year it comes back? And it's replacing... it's replacing one.
I'd have to look. I'm not sure.
Holland. So I think this is the last Dutch Grand Prix this year.
Yeah, you're right.
And then it's going to Portimao. So there's all this. I say rotate them. You know, awesome. That means that the tracks and the circuits get a breather with the fees and everything. Other circuits can enjoy it. It keeps it varied. You know, gets fans going to different places. I think it's an awesome idea. Let's rotate the circuits.
Joe, you're actually convincing me here, because when I first saw the news about Barcelona losing out to Madrid, I was gutted, because having been there and experienced it, and it's a pure racing circuit. However, there's been a few boring races there over the years, and so, you know, but to then find out it's alternating with Spa for me, which is one of the iconic racetracks, and the idea of not having Spa is like not having Suzuka, not having Silverstone, not having Monaco. in the calendar. It's one of those that you can't imagine Formula One without it. But Formula One is a breathing object. And you're right. You've convinced me here, because there are so many other tracks that will bring different dimensions to the sport and make the seasons different from season to season. Yes, I even think when we were driving through Dubai, and you said, "Oh, they built a Formula One track there with the pit lane, but never used it." And I'm like, "My God, we don't even know about these things." There was Turkey, wasn't there, that had a race?
Yeah.
And as you said, Hockenheim, Nürburgring. In France, you've got Magny-Cours as well as Paul Ricard. There's so many of them. We've got Kyalami down in South Africa. The world needs to see Formula One. And whether there's 16, 20, 24 races a season, that's still not enough. But if you can rotate them across a 2 or 3 year period, I actually, Joe, you've convinced me now that this is the right thing to do. Now, so but Portimao is a very small, tight track, very much similar to the Dutch track in Zandvoort. But the only difficulty with Zandvoort is getting the people in. It's so tight and so small in the sand dunes. You can only fit 100,000 people in there, and Formula One is 300,000-400,000 people. That's what we get at a weekend.
Yeah.
And that's
true.
the business side of it.
It's the business side. I mean, this year you're going to have 2 Spanish Grand Prix. You're going to have Barcelona in June and Madrid in September. So thank you for putting me up on that. I mean, let's have a quick scan of the calendar. So Australia is the first one, 6th of March, start of that weekend.
I love it being the opening race of the season, Joe, as well. And especially going into autumn, the weather can turn really quickly in Australia. Whereas we shifted in COVID to Bahrain, didn't we? 2021 as the opener.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get. You know what the weather's going to be.
It's going to be standard, and that's moved because of Ramadan. So Bahrain and Saudi Arabia are going to be next to each other in April this year. Then it's off to Miami and Canada. Now, I think that's the first time that's happened, because they're trying to reduce the carbon footprint by having shorter distances between the races and kind of bunch them together. Then you start the big European start. You got Monaco in June this year, first week of June, which is traditionally end of May. That's been pushed back to help with this calendar reorganization. Spain, Austria, UK, Belgium. July is hectic. June and July, you've got you've got a double header with Monaco and Spain. Week off, then Austria. Then you got UK, 2 weeks Belgium, then straight into Hungary, then you got the break. So that's the break. 26th of July to 21st of August. And then you got the Dutch Grand Prix, the last one. Then you got Italy, which is at Monza, Madrid. This is September still. And then Azerbaijan is in September. That's a busy month. You got 3 in October, Singapore, US, Mexico. I mean, crikey, the jet lag on that.
That's a massive, like Azerbaijan to Singapore makes sense, but Singapore over to the States, that's
Mexico. Then you got Brazil in November, and then Vegas, then Qatar, and then straight to Abu Dhabi. So that's also going to be hectic. You got a triple header to finish the season. So Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi. So it's going to be. It seems so bunched up. I mean, and they want to add more races. They're like, you don't need a break in August. Like, I think they do.
Well, I definitely think they do. There was actually a couple of 3 weeks off in 2025. I'd have to look at the 2025 thing, but there's a couple of weekends off, which I found bizarre. It was like 3 weeks off and then 2 weeks on and then the whole summer break, where they could have managed. But it's all about availability of track, and there's so much to think about. There's also another thing in there that I can't remember if it's just after, or I think it's just after Silverstone, will also be Goodwood, which is a huge part of the Formula One calendar, especially where I live down in the south of England, down near Chichester. It's so many Formula One contingent are there all the time, and it's just another weekend of them working. They don't have time off. They've got so much to do, these people in Formula One, whether you're a driver, part of the team, or just working in the media circus. It's mental. It's just
it is mental. Well, it is mental.
whenever I've done it, Joe, it takes me a week to get over it, you know, because I think when you're in it, you just go like a train and you just keep going. And it's when you stop, and when they stop for their summer break, mate, they crash, no pun intended. And it's probably difficult to get back on the horse again for Netherlands, for the Dutch Grand Prix.
Well, I think we worked at with F1 for about 7-8 years, and it is. I mean, we only did a third of the calendar, maybe nearly half, maybe a third, but that was enough because you do the double headers. Oh my god! Like people don't realize it starts for us. It would start Thursday. You'd have to go travel, get there, load in, do what you need to do. Then you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday or Sunday night and Monday you're loading out. So it's basically 5 days really for F1, and then you go straight into the next one. So the guys that work on there is phenomenal. Now you're going to see everyone watching a lot more of this behind the scenes of Formula One with Drive to Survive, as Darren said. That's out this week on Netflix. It's the last season if you haven't seen it before, so they do it a year behind, and it's always super entertaining. And this season there's a little bonus. It's a tell-all interview with Christian Horner, no doubt, explaining his departure and what went on. So that is going to be one of the big things about this season. So do check that out. We can't wait for the season to start. We're going to know more about the cars once we get the first couple of races under our belt. And the first race is Australia. We're going to be back with more monthly episodes. And so please send in your comments, your questions. We look forward to those and connecting with you throughout the year. But for now, it's goodbye from me, Joe Lee.
And it's goodbye from me, Darren Reeves. Take care.
Take care.